It was supposed to be a quick trip, a group of 23 passengers, a veteran driver, and a scenic overnight ride through the foggy mountain highways of northern Colorado. But at exactly 2:46 a.m., the highway cameras caught the bus's headlights flicker, then vanish, as the vehicle careened off a cliffside turned known locally as Dead Man's Bend. By dawn, emergency crews found what was left of the SilverTrail Tour Bus 91B, overturned, burned, and mangled at the bottom of the canyon. All 23 passengers were dead, except one. Tonight, we're diving into a story that's haunted investigators, survivors, and the families of the victims for nearly a decade. A tragedy that was first called an accident, then a mechanical failure, and later, something much darker. By the end of this story, you'll understand why the brakes didn't fail the way everyone thought they did, who had the motive to stop that bus permanently, and the chilling truth behind the only survivor's final confession. The only survivor was Angela Ruiz, a 28-year-old travel blogger documenting America's hidden roads. She was seated near the middle of the bus, dozing when the crash happened. According to Angela, she woke up seconds before impact because she heard someone whispering near the driver's seat. She said it wasn't the driver's voice. It wasn't panic, she told investigators. It sounded calm, like someone saying, "It's time." Angela was thrown clear when the bus hit the guardrail. She broke her leg, her arm, and suffered head trauma. But she remembered seeing a figure standing over the driver moments before the bus plunged. The driver, Harold Denon, was 54, a veteran with over 20 years behind the wheel and a spotless record. Toxicology reports came back clean. No alcohol, no drugs, and no sign of medical distress. But his hands told another story. Investigators found deep bruising and torn skin around his wrists, as if he'd been struggling for control of the wheel. The brake system showed no signs of catastrophic failure, but the airline valve, the small, crucial part that controls pressure in the emergency brakes, had been manually disengaged. Someone had pulled the brakes deliberately. Every one of the 23 passengers had boarded in Denver at 11:10 p.m. It was supposed to be a night drive to a ski resort in Estes Ridge. Among them were a retired cop and his wife celebrating their anniversary, a journalist working on an expose about tourism scams, 3 college students backpacking across the Midwest, a woman named Claire Nolan who bought her ticket last minute, paying in cash, and Angela Ruiz, the blogger who lived to tell the tale. But one name stood out: Ethan Rowe, 33, an auto mechanic who'd been fired from the same company that owned the SilverTrail fleet just 6 months earlier. He'd sued for wrongful termination and lost. And yet, somehow he was on that bus. Investigators obtained the GPS data from the bus's black box. The route was clear until 2:41 a.m., when the bus veered off Highway 37 and onto a service road that wasn't on the schedule. That road led directly toward Dead Man's Bend. 5 minutes before the crash, the bus's onboard mic picked up faint audio. Most of it was static, but one sentence came through clearly. "You shouldn't have gotten on." The voice wasn't Harold Denton's. It wasn't Angela's, and it didn't match any other passengers' recorded background voices from before departure. Among the wreckage, investigators found a half-burned notebook near seat 12, Angela's row. Scrawled across one page, barely legible through the soot, were the words. He said he'd make them pay. DNA confirmed it was Ethan Rowe's handwriting, but the autopsy found no trace of him among the remains. His seat was empty, and there were 2 sets of unidentifiable footprints leading away from the crash site, one barefoot, one wearing boots. They disappeared into the snow 40 meters from the wreck. Digging deeper, Detective Rosa Meeks uncovered that the SilverTrail Company had been under federal investigation for falsifying maintenance reports, specifically related to brake systems. And guess who filed the first complaint? Ethan Rowe. The company had settled quietly and fired him, claiming incompetence. 2 months later, the complaint files went missing from the Department of Transportation archives. 3 inspectors who worked on the case died in unrelated accidents over the next year. Coincidence or cover-up? When police searched Angela's camera bag, they found an SD card she didn't remember packing. It contained video clips dated the day before the crash, showing the passengers boarding. In the background of one frame, a man, face obscured by a hood, was caught tampering near the undercarriage of the bus. He looked directly into the camera for half a second before walking away. Enhancements showed the faint outline of a tattoo on his wrist, a small gear symbol. The same symbol used in the SilverTrail company logo. Security footage from the Denver depot, where the bus departed, was deleted 6 hours after the crash. The backup servers had been corrupted by a supposed power surge. The IT technician who discovered it quit the same week. When investigators traced his bank account, they found a $120,000 transfer from an anonymous LLC, one registered in the Cayman Islands. The owner of SilverTrail Tours? Marcus Denon, the driver's older brother. Months later, in the spring thaw, hikers found something buried near the crash site. A duffel bag containing clothes, a flare gun, and a stack of printed documents. The top page read, "They didn't let me tell the truth. Now they'll all hear it." ER. Inside was a USB drive with encrypted files. When decrypted, they revealed maintenance logs, payment records, and safety violations, proving SilverTrail's long history of paying off inspectors and silencing whistleblowers. It was enough to bring the company down, but not to explain what happened that night. Because one more file was inside. A final video. It showed the inside of the bus, filmed from the aisle. The passengers were asleep. The driver was focused. And then, a man's hand reached from behind the driver's seat and pulled the brake valve. The camera shook and the image cut to black. Angela Ruiz later disappeared before the trial began. Her apartment was left unlocked, cameras still recording, with a note taped to her laptop. "I think I saw his face again. I shouldn't have survived." No trace of her has ever been found. To this day, the case remains unsolved. The company dissolved, Marcus Denon vanished overseas, and the canyon where it all happened was permanently closed to the public. But hikers say that sometimes, late at night, they still hear the echo of brakes screeching on a mountain and see the glow of headlights on a road that no longer exists. So what really happened on that mountain road? Did Ethan Rowe sabotage the bus for revenge? Or did someone else pull the brakes to silence him for good? And if Angela was telling the truth, who whispered, "It's time," just before the crash? Because if the dead can't speak, someone else still is.